as you'd be aware, that in the transformation of our social fabric of Dominica, we need to look at the youth, we need to look at the elderly, we also need to look at the less fortunate people, for example, drug addicts, ex-convict, and also people with disabilities. We have gone through it on the ground, actually meet the people. We have done that over the last 12 months. And we understand the plight, for example, of the people who are homeless. Under the Roseau Improvement Committee program, led by the Honorable Norris Prevost and supported by myself and others, we have embarked for over 10 years now on a feeding program in Roseau. Also, the Seventh-day Adventist Church has also been involved in feeding. So here our leader have already pointed out that we have NGOs and churches who have already taken the lead in certain areas. We are proposing that we will strengthen that mission. What we'll do is we'll facilitate churches, facilitate NGOs like the Roseau Improvement Committee and other NGO organizations. Because you'd well understand and you'd see that on Sundays, for example, we'd be feeding over 100 people on Sundays, every Sunday. But this needs to be a sustained program run by NGOs and facilitated by the government. When you go to the infirmary, for example, where our elderlies are being taken care of by the Catholic Church NGO, you will see that it is a model that we in Dominica can emulate and expand. And our leader have articulated that. You look at the people who are been struggling with drug addiction, where they can't do it on their own. And that is where you don't need politicians per se to be the people driving that process of recovery. What we can do as politicians is create the facilitation. For example, we have already articulated that on the Roseau Central platform, the Roseau South platform by Joshua Francis, and the Roseau North platform by Danny Luge, where all of us have already stated that we need a drug rehabilitation center. Where we will relocate it, let's say, in the High Street area, the Roseau North area, or the Roseau South area, that there is a major milestone that we'll be seeking to achieve, and we are committing to ensure happens when we form the next government. And as I said, a drug rehabilitation center to take care of the people. When we look at, for example, our people with disabilities, we need to have proper systems in place. So, for example, in a renewed Roseau, the Roseau that we have already said, a clean and green Roseau as the vision, which would be the best place to live in the region as a city. A clean city, a city where people with disability can easily move up on ramps and move on the sidewalks. Not a sidewalk where you have holes every path you pass on a sidewalk. Yesterday, for example, we did a small tour of Roseau. And when you walk on the bridge, the slabs on the bridge are broken. One of them is actually not in place. So you have a big hole in the sidewalk of the bridge. But meanwhile we are talking about that, you have a government who is there seeking to spread money, trying to buy votes. You have a government which is embarking on new project that was never been, let's say, visualized before as a plan. But instead we repair, for example, the bridges that we have. Repair the Dominica Grammar School. We passed there yesterday again. The actual surroundings is really in a bad condition. So instead the government is focused on what we have actually achieved so far under the United Workers' Party and under the Freedom Party, and some of the work, for example, they did in the earlier years. They have embarked on a political campaign, not to help Dominicans, but to keep themselves in power by giving out handouts. And you can, at least even after you leave this press conference, people who are listening, look at Roseau. As you are walking on the sidewalk, you will see grass is growing in the drains and on the sidewalk. Just imagine you coming into Dominica as a tourist and you have to enter our city. How would you feel? So why are we so surprised that, for example, the Carnival Cruise Line has pulled out? Because one of our major products, the entrance into our country, is Roseau City. And Roseau City is not something not that we want to criticize. But we have no choice but to talk the truth and to point out the flaws that we have been challenged with for many years, the last 14 to 15 years under the Labour Party. We are asking all the citizens of Dominica and Roseau, here and abroad, to understand that what we require is a social revolution. A revolution of, as the Rastaman would say, an article thing, something from the heart. Not a fake premise. Something where we are proposing something and you know we are real. We are not doing it for politics. We have said already, many of us, and in fact, Team Dominica, including you, the media and the other Dominicans, we are going through major sacrifice. So even while we talk about the social transformation of Dominica under United Workers' Party Team Dominica, we need to look at the issue of price control, the issue of the cost of living. Because even if we put all the social programs in place, but it is too expensive to live in Dominica, we can't be in the best place to live. So we need to look at our basket of goods, that the day-to-day living is easy on everyone. And also, as we look at the social transformation, we need to also marry it with education, childhood education. Why should it be that a young lady, a young man, has to go to beg a minister, beg a politician to get support for your children? All this should be placed in the state organs. For example, the Ministry of Welfare, the Ministry of Education, not at the politician level. It should be at the technocrat level. So we are asking Dominicans here and abroad to understand that the United Workers' Party, led by our leader, and he's an honorable man, so I would say Honorable Lennox Linton, we are proposing a new thinking, a thinking where Dominica is taken care by its people, not politicians promising, but all of us coming together as Team Dominica, using the NGOs that we have, using our technocrats in the government system, and using the politicians as the visionaries and the facilitators as policymakers. That is what we are proposing. Something completely different. Not something where you have to sit downstairs the government ministry at 3 a.m. or 5 a.m. in the morning so that you could come and beg somebody. What we require is a proper process. And that's what we are proposing. A process and a system where all our Dominicans feel empowered and they don't think lesser. They don't feel lesser than anybody else. So that's what we are calling all Dominicans to understand. That yes, we are in election season. So during political campaigning, you have to ask yourself, is it just a promise or are these people real? Can you really say that Joshua Francis is not real? Can you say Thompson Fountain is not real? Can you say Joseph Isaac is not real? Can you say Felix Thomas is not real? And how can any woman in Dominica say that Monel Williams is not real? And to the fishermen, for example, in Collioure, can you say Mr. George is not real? And when a man take all his savings and invest in Cassie Bruce, Isaac Baptist, my big brother, can you say that man is not real? And when you go to Salisbury and all our other places with our opposition leader, Hector John, this is the man in our party you can say that he has connected to the people, connected to the youth. So that's why we are asking you to understand even the names that I have not called. Within the Team Dominica, UWP Team Dominica, you know and you understand that we are real. With everything is coming from our heart. And that's why we are asking for Dominicans to understand that our leader, Honorable Lennox Linton, have placed on the platform best place to live, best place to work, and best place to enjoy life. This is a real vision that can be achieved, and in so doing, we can achieve the 5,000 jobs in 3 years to alleviate poverty, take care of our people, take care of the elderly, take care of the less fortunate. I'm asking you to understand the vision. Thank you.